As part of the ComSOP, a commercial property inspector is supposed to make sure that all grease-laden cooking equipment is serviced by a hood. Now, when we're talking about hoods, there are two different types of hoods that we're going to find in a commercial kitchen. Here we are in a commercial kitchen. We have a type 1 hood and a type 2 hood. A type 1 hood should be above any grease-laden cooking equipment. Things like ranges, ovens, grills, griddles, deep fat fryers. Anything that produces grease will be under a type 1 hood. A type 2 hood is anything that's steam or heat that is not grease-laden. How to identify whether you've got a type 1 or type 2 hood is very, very simple. A type 1 hood has to have fire suppression systems. And so we will have nozzles underneath protecting all the pieces of equipment. The nozzles are hooked to the suppression system, which we'll cover on a separate video. We also have baffles as our filters. We'll see our baffles up here. The baffles need to be situated in such a way that they allow the grease to fall down them and not be caught by them. Then the grease is brought through a grease tray into a grease cup. And in that grease cup, that's one of those items that is routinely cleaned or taken out and dumped, for lack of a better term. If you're in a kitchen and the kitchen is not in operation, then we recommend that you turn on the system. The system's turned on typically by a simple switch somewhere on the wall. And that system will operate the lights as well as the fan and any other systems that are attached to it, like a makeup air system. But in this case, we do have lighting. Our lighting is in what's described as blast proof or vapor proof, and that keeps any fire or anything here from going up and catching and being ignited. So let's turn the fan on. In this particular type 1 hood, it's got a very sophisticated system for operating the fan. Some are just a simple light switch. In this particular case, it's a simple switch here. I'm going to turn that on. That turns on all the lights as well as the fan. Let's take a look at the unit. Underneath the hood, this type 1 hood, which has to be all stainless steel. It has to have liquid tight welds. The welds need to be internal to the hood. And so that's where we can see all the welding. And then this is our grease cup. So as any of the vapors are being sucked up into the baffles, it drips back down and comes into the grease cup, and that's what we're able to clean. So when you are looking at hoods, verify that it's a type 1 or type 2. If it's type 1, it needs to have baffles. It needs to have all the baffles in place. Make sure we have none missing. If there's one missing, then that's not going to properly capture. And it needs to be over all of cooking devices that are grease-laden. So make sure you do operate the system and verify that on your inspection. And then lastly, verify any of the nozzles over everything is properly sealed and are not encapsulated with any grease buildup. All type 1 hoods should have some sticker, some placard indicating the last time it was cleaned and when it should be cleaned next. The type of kitchen and the type of use will dictate how often a unit should be cleaned. Refer to the table provided in the coursework for that information. When we take a look at this kitchen, here is our label right here. This label indicates the last time it was cleaned and when it should be cleaned next. It was last cleaned in November of 22. So September and November, it is then most likely due for a cleaning. This is a vacant kitchen. So I would assume the next time the kitchen is turned on and ready for operation, it'll have a good cleaning. But we're looking for that label on all type 1 hoods.